Okay.
Right, good.
Welcome back to Soberish Sparkle, and I'm very excited today. My guest is Andy Ramage, a former professional athlete turned city broker who co-created two multi-million dollar businesses before walking away from it all to explore a new path. After hitting a personal low despite his outward success, Andy set out on a mission to discover how to be high performing without burning out. That journey led him to co found the global alcohol free movement, 1 Year No Beer, and the app known as Dry. He's also the author of two best selling books and one of the few coaches in the world with a master's in coaching and positive psychology. Andy's work has helped over 100,000 people transform their lives, and today he's here to share his insights on mindset, sobriety, and what true success really looks like. Welcome, Andy.
That sounded even better the second time. Good
I
on
forgot
you.
to press record, everyone. So yeah, we got a rehearsal in. Andy, thanks again for being here. Really appreciate having you here and your valuable time. I'd like to start with a fun question because we need more fun in our lives. And that question is, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
It's a good one, but nothing is the truth. So I fast as long as I can, probably till around lunchtime here in the UK, about 1 o'clock. But then when I break my fast, just to give you what that looks like, it's almost always the same thing, which is porridge, nuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, berries, peanut butter, concoction of goodness. So yeah, when I do break my fast, which is a bit later in the day, yeah, it'll be along those lines.
Go for it. Um,
Yeah.
so Andy, can you just tell us a bit about your sober journey and what led you to question your drinking and how that unfolded for you?
Yeah, so my sort of story around that starts mid 30s, I guess. Just the hangovers started to hang around for way longer than they seem to do in my 20s. I just started to become aware of it, essentially, aware of the fact that I was underperforming a bit, especially in my professional career. I'd be 10 out of 10 one day, go out for a few drinks, and then I was literally a 2 out of 10 the
Mm.
next day. I started to get anxiety, panic attacks, like things that were really quite concerning and debilitating at times. I didn't really make the association between alcohol and those things, but I knew it was somehow intertwined. I was overweight, unfit, unhealthy, inconsistent,
Mm.
but traditionally I sort of looked totally normal.
Yeah.
It's the truth fit because everyone around me was more or less doing exactly the same thing. We're all drinking a bit too much, all a bit inconsistent. That classic sort of middle-age spread
Yes.
that so many people experience. So I didn't look exceptional in any which way at all, but I knew something wasn't quite right.
Mm.
Not to the fact that I would say there was a big problem and there was no addiction. I don't identify with any of those things because that wasn't true for me at all. I was more or less just drinking like everyone else and having probably very similar experiences to everyone else, only that maybe I became a bit more aware of them and their link to performance, which inspired, encouraged me, motivated me to take a break.
Mm.
But that scared me, because I think it scares so many people. What would happen to, my career if I didn't entertain clients? I was a broker in the city.
Mm.
Would I be fun? Would my mates still think I was funny? Would my wife still want to hang out with me if I wasn't drinking? Like all those fears that you carry.
Mm.
But luckily, I took a break after many failed attempts, just to be
Yeah.
clear about that.
Yeah.
But I got about 28 days in and I knew straight away I'm onto something. I could
Mm.
feel the momentum of consistency. I felt better. My mental health started to clear up. In fact, those panic attacks went away and never, ever came back. The anxiety never, ever came back.
Mm.
I mean, these are huge wins. And it was enough just to inspire me. I'm just going to keep going. And that was 11 years ago.
Wow. 11 years. That's so good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm
Yeah.
I'm 2.5, but I totally relate with everything you've just said. Yeah. Your life just improves in every facet, doesn't it? Like it's extraordinary more people don't try it because it is life changing.
Yeah, and I think it's for those same reasons. We're so scared of change.
Mm.
Humans are so scared of change. That's why humans stay in terrible relationships, they stay in careers they don't find meaningful. And I think we delude ourselves and trick ourselves that to not change is to somehow get out of making a choice to change. But it's a choice to stay, isn't it? Every single day, we're making a choice to stay stuck, whether that's in our relationship with alcohol or in a relationship or in a career. And I think that's why. I think that's why so many people get stuck. But what we're doing, hopefully, is great work, inspiring people to make that change on a short-term basis, be it take a break, and then have that lived experience that we've had. And once you've had that experience of the fun side of the island, most
Yeah,
people just don't want to go back.
you don't go back. I was just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Mm.
You just got to a point where I'd had enough. Does your wife drink or
She does, yeah. She still
yeah,
drinks. Not, I mean, a fraction of what she did, I think I'd say in our heyday when
yeah.
I was fully involved. But yes, she still does. And, I absolutely love her. We were at Wimbledon yesterday having a wonderful
Oh,
day. She had one drink throughout the whole day,
yeah,
glass of whatever it was. Almost irrelevant in my opinion, but still. Um, but no, I have total love and respect for, people's
yeah,
choices.
yeah,
I choose not to drink. It's my personal choice, and I love that personal choice. And if I can inspire a few people to join me, brilliant. But
yeah.
equally, people want to drink, that's 100% their choice.
Absolutely. And I think it's just about making informed or mindful choices, but it's your choice.
Yeah, and it is a solo mission. I think a lot of people get caught up in that. They're like, oh, well, how can I stop drinking if my partner still drinks? Well, I've done that for 11 years. Um, and then they'll convince themselves that, oh, it's impossible or I can't do it. It's just not true, right? Because your partner is a different human being to you.
Yeah,
Your relationship with alcohol is unique to you. So if you end up in that place where it's not serving you, it's irrelevant to what it's doing to your partner or loved ones, right? Because their experience of it is completely different. So if it gets to that point, you want to make that change, go for it.
yeah,
But also don't expect the whole world to
yeah,
bend for your change, and then there's nothing stopping you. Then
yeah,
you're not at the mercy of other people in your life. You just get on with it.
yeah. No, that's what I say to my ladies. Like it's your choice, but decide what you want to do. Make mindful, informed choices. Um, I've actually interviewed a few males now, and I'm really interested when I ask them, how did you go with like, because there's that, well, particularly in Australia, I think it's the same in the UK, that blokey culture and down the pub. Did you, I suppose, in the early days more so struggle with that, or were you loud and proud?
No, I mean, in the early days, I was very much stealth. This is going back 11 years ago. So there wasn't even alcohol-free alternatives
Yeah,
then. It wasn't an option. So it was stealth. I would pretend to drink when I wasn't drinking. The occasional odd bar that I could find that might have an alcohol-free alternative, I'd get them poured into a stealth pint of lager. So it looked like I was drinking when
yeah,
I wasn't drinking.
yeah.
Um, so no, I wasn't particularly loud and proud at the start. It was very much a stealth thing to test the
Mm,
system. Um, but then you get more comfortable and confident with that, as I am now. And then you start to see through some of those ways that you like to spend time with people, which was that sort of blokey pub thing. I was a,
yeah,
broker in the city, which was very much that sort of laddie
mm,
kind of culture, and realized that actually I don't enjoy that.
yeah,
And I don't think I ever enjoyed it, is the
yes.
truth. And the only thing that made it feel remotely enjoyable was the intoxication.
Drink,
Is
yeah,
the honest truth of it. So when
yes.
you remove the intoxication and you're back in that same place going, I've just heard you tell that story
Mm,
about like two times, and then you're back in that same pub. I could go back to the same pubs in London 11 years later and I'll find the same people in there talking the same shit,
drink. Yeah, yeah,
telling how they're going to quit their job and tell the boss where to go, how they're going to start this and start that. Nothing done. Still in the same pub, talking the same old rubbish. I've got no interest in that anymore.
no.
So I had to mature out of that and become the man that I wanted to be, which is,
Mm,
I think, way more
yeah,
in terms of, my role modeling, my like internal power as a man to show up and say, I don't drink.
mm,
That's the way I'm rolling, right? And not feel weakened by the
mm,
crowd that I have to drink because everyone else is doing something. There's so much power, I think, and manliness
yeah.
in making much more courageous choices, such as not drinking alcohol.
Yeah, no, I agree. But in the early days, what did you do? Did you find a group or did you get into book? I just immersed myself into podcasts and books and what have you. What helped you in the early days with support?
Yeah, reading was really important to me. You can see a big bookshelf behind
Yes,
me.
I like the
I've been an avid,
color coordination
yeah,
too.
yeah. My wife got in there and did that. It was
Love
all
it.
over the place. She was like, I can't handle that. I'm gonna have to get in there and sort of bring some nice coordination to those colors. Um, yeah, books were huge for me. And bear in mind again, 11 years ago, there was
Yeah,
nothing, right? This whole sober world didn't exist. Of course, there was one major, 12-step AA
yeah,
type of organization, which wasn't me. I've never identified with that. I have total love and respect for
yeah,
everyone that's involved in that space, as I do for anyone that's in the alcohol-free space. I believe we're all on the same team playing in different positions, but that wasn't me. And it was that frustration of, well, there are no books for me because
mm,
every book was crash and burn memoir. That wasn't in my story. There was
mm,
no groups or organizations. So that inspired me to think, well, I wonder, are there other people like me? I don't know if there is. Maybe there are. And that was the genesis of me actually starting some of these groups and online communities, which was really early on, probably one of the first globally to do so in
yes,
the middle lane for that exact reason. I wanted a bit of support to see are there other people like me. And now, fortunately, 11 years on, there's hundreds
yeah,
and there's thousands and thousands of influencers in the sort of sober world, alcohol free world, which is a wonderful thing. Which and loads of literature
yes,
that didn't exist before. So I think it's become a lot easier. I think, which is wonderful for people to make this break. And of course, alcohol free alternatives now are
yeah.
everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more options. Even since when I stopped 2.5 years ago, I can see how much it's grown. Did you did you have like a full career shift, change, pivot from stopping drinking? Was that the main thing that happened to make you change your path?
The big thing that happened actually was prior to me stopping drinking. I had my sort of wake up epiphany of like, is this it? Like, why are we all working so hard, unfit, overweight, all the things that I mentioned. So I started to become aware of my relationship with alcohol, but I hadn't stopped drinking at this stage. And it was a book that I read, Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. It's on the
Yes.
bookshelf
Oh,
behind
Tony
me.
Robbins, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that book, he spoke a lot about a guy called John Grinder, who
Yes,
Robbins had trained with Grinder to become a coach. And I thought, well, I wonder can I learn from that Grinder guy, thinking I'm going to have to fly to LA and it's going to be
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of pounds. And Googled around, and he was running a course in London.
Oh,
So
wow.
I thought, I'm just going to go on that course. I had no idea what it was going to be. I just wanted
Yeah.
to go onto the course. But the course was basically a life coach training
Mm,
qualification that Grinder was delivering in NLP. NLP,
yes.
neuro linguistic programming, is his particular coaching approach. So I became a coach. I was never meant to be a coach. That wasn't in my plan, but I loved it. It just
Yeah.
lit me up. All these concepts, these tools, these techniques, which I then applied to my existing career, which absolutely exploded on
Yes.
the back of it. I then went back to university to do a degree and then a master's degree in positive psychology and coaching psychology because I was just loving it and lapping it up. And within that mix, started lots of these little initiatives and concepts and ideas that started to gain momentum. So it was never meant to be a thing for me.
Mm,
I was always going to be a broker. I was very well looked after in that arena. I had my own brokerage. But then as things started to snowball, I then started to train coaches, which is a huge part of what I do today. I train coaches, life coaches, executive coaches, alcohol-free performance coaches, um, to such a point that I was in this beautiful position where actually I was able to step away from the sort of golden handcuffs of a big city career and go
mm,
full time as someone who was very entrepreneurial.
mm,
And now I've total freedom to do
yeah.
what I want and what I love, which is build businesses and initiatives that contribute, that add value, that give back.
Mm.
Many of which I'm involved in, which I love. So yeah, it was never meant to be a thing, but it was 100% the thing that gave me the momentum to go alcohol free, and then that gave me the time, the ambition, and like the oomph and
Yeah.
courage to pursue these things.
And look where you are today.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm the same. I've had a complete career pivot. My life's just changed for the better in every way from stopping drinking. It's been extraordinary. Um, what I wanted to ask you too, when you touched on it then with NLP, this fascinates me. And I did one of your little courses where and you talk about your maps and your beliefs and our own little maps we create. And then that's the emotions and the actions. And you can really apply that to alcohol, can't you? So you've got a belief that, well, could you explain it to the ladies? It might be better coming from the one that's done more work in it than me at the moment.
No, I'm glad you took that course. That was, I think, the foundation
Good.
course
Yeah.
in coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's loads of good stuff in. Yeah, basically, life is a series of beliefs. When you
Mm.
get your head around this, it's such game-changing wisdom, and it originates from the great Stoic philosophers of 2,000 years ago. And one line in particular, which I read in Anthony Robbins' book, which was that it's not events that shape our lives, but our beliefs about them. That was rocket fuel to me. It was like,
Mm.
wow. And I traced the lineage of that back to the great Stoic philosophers.
Right.
Robbins was just more or less repeating their wisdom. But, um, and then you broaden that into all arenas of your life, like you say. So it's not the events that shape our life, it's our beliefs about them. So
Mm.
if you look at alcohol, for example, it's the stories that we tell about alcohol that trip us up. Those stories are the beliefs. So it might have been that at one point in our life, that alcohol did appear to add value. We had fun with it, maybe in our teens, maybe in our early 20s. The hangovers weren't as prevalent. It was our social glue. It brought us together with our friends, and we had some wild times and great nights. So we build a set of stories around it. Or we build a set of stories around alcohol to say, oh, alcohol's what I do to relax, because that's what
Mm.
adults do.
Mm.
I relax with alcohol. Or alcohol's what I do to socialize. So we tell those stories. And then what happens with those stories, they become these beliefs inside our mind, and then we don't challenge them very often. So then we find ourselves maybe in our mid 30s, like I did, still telling the same stories of old that were no longer true anymore.
Mm.
Carl Jung talks about this, the great Swiss philosopher, psychiatrist. He says this: what was once true in the morning of our lives, by the afternoon has become a lie.
Mm.
And I think that's so true with alcohol. So we're telling these stories, which essentially are our beliefs about alcohol, which are no longer true. So
Mm.
when you start to do the work and you really unpick it and
Yeah.
you look at the beliefs that you've formed around alcohol, such as I need alcohol to relax, and then you unwind that and go, actually, hold on a minute. Well, does it really help me relax? Then you get into the like neuroscience of what's actually going on. It obviously deludes you to think that you're relaxing, but ultimately it's the thing that's causing most of the stress in your life. It destroys the quality of your sleep. That's why you wake up. No one ever wakes up the day after a few drinks feeling more relaxed.
Yeah.
Ever. It's never happened ever, has it?
Yeah.
So you start to unpick these beliefs and go, hold on a minute. So alcohol doesn't actually help me relax.
Mm.
What does help me relax?
Mm.
Or does alcohol really bring the fun? And again, we just wrap a belief around that and go, yeah, now alcohol's fun. But that's just not true, is it? If you unpick that for 5 seconds, that belief, I would guarantee it that some of the worst nights ever anyone's ever had involve alcohol.
Yeah.
So it
Absolutely.
can't be that it's fun. Because if it was fun all the time, then we wouldn't have our worst night ever. If
Mm.
it was fun all the time, every single time we drank, it would be fun. When actually, I would argue for most people that are probably listening to this podcast, if they evaluated their last 5 times they had a drink, mostly it would be really average
Yeah.
or not really fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Again, but we've built a belief saying alcohol's fun. Not true. So
Mm.
when you start to unpick those beliefs, you see it for what it is. It gets easy, right? Because you've just shattered that vow that's been keeping you drinking all these years, because most of it's linked to beliefs that you picked up in your teens or your 20s that you're just repeating over and over again.
Mm. And I found writing, like physically, not typing, pen and paper, old school, um, writing down what, well, did it de-stress me? And it did the opposite, because, and it might be fun and everything, but is it fun waking up the next morning feeling like shit, forgetting what you said, if you did anything wrong, did you drink and dial, whatever. So how can this belief that alcohol is fun, it's not fun, because look at the 12 hours later what you get. That's not fun.
Exactly. And that's brilliant work that most people never do. So we live our entire life telling ourselves a lie
Yeah,
about alcohol. We keep saying it's fun. And then you do the work for 5 minutes and go, hold on a minute.
yeah,
That's just not true. It's
yeah,
just not even true. It's not
yeah.
true for me. And maybe it was again in the morning of your life, but now in the afternoon, it's completely untrue. So
Mm.
once you stop telling that story and you build a better story or a better belief, then everything starts to change, because then you see it for what it is. And it's like, oh, actually, I get my fun now from getting up and going for a sea swim.
Yes.
That's really fun for
Yeah.
me. Getting up and connecting in a different, that's joy.
Mm.
That's fun.
Mm.
And the alcohol stuff is no longer fun. And
Mm.
then it becomes easier, much
Yeah.
easier to make that change.
Yeah. But we have, I mean, I look at children and use the example of children. They haven't been drinking and they're having so much fun. And even if you think about times in your life that haven't been, out partying or whatever, they've been during the day without alcohol, they were really true fun. They were valuable fun. That's what real fun is, because when you're half cut, you don't remember it anyway. Like,
So true. And this is, if you come with me and train on that alcohol-free performance coach training, this is what we do. We have a tool
yeah,
called the ambivalent seesaw that
yeah.
I created that basically helps people just pick the whole thing apart. And
Mm,
then when you see it for what it is, as I say, it gets so much easier. But the beautiful thing about this is that once you understand this process, it works for every domain of your life.
yes.
You start to realize so many things that are troubling you are just based on jump to conclusions or
Yeah,
beliefs that were given
yeah,
to you
yeah.
in your childhood that you didn't even ask for, that are not even true anymore.
Mm,
This is why I think people go on such transformations when they change their relationship with alcohol, because the sort of the broader learning and insights is applicable to every arena of your life. And that's why you change everything. That's why
mm,
careers get
mm,
transformed. You're a great example of that. I'm a great example of that. Relationships are transformed, health's transformed, like our minds are transformed, all
mm.
by this one beautiful change. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I think it's the
Yeah.
master change that you can make that steps you into this whole new world of learning and insight.
And not just your, I mean, your relationships with your partner and your kids and what have you, but what was incredible for me was the relationship to myself that I have. It's so much more loving and accepting, and there's not that horrible critic, is there? Like, I just feel it's quite profound that you change and have this beautiful relationship with yourself now that you don't drink.
Yeah, also that mental clarity you get
Mm,
from not drinking, because you're really, again, this is something we don't really connect the dots with, but when you drink alcohol, the reason you get those feelings, those, fuzzy feelings, let's say, is because your neurochemistry is being disrupted. Your beautiful balanced brain
mm,
is being knocked for six all over the place. So the come down from that, and that happens even after one or two,
yeah.
means that you're not quite fully yourself. You're not in that place to do the mental gymnastics, to be kinder to yourself. So you tend to be more dark
Yes.
in your thinking, more, catastrophize in your thinking.
Mm,
And if you're drinking once or twice a week, which most adults are, you're never out of its grip. Therefore, your whole world is clouded in many ways. That's why when you remove it, you get that space to be kinder to yourself, and then you start to learn a bit more about how your brain works. You get some distance from
mm.
the noise and realize that just because you said something in your mind doesn't mean it's true.
True.
It's just your
Yeah.
mind doing its thing,
Yeah.
and you can get some space underneath that. Again, it's transformative, I think, to our mental well-being and our mental health, and the way that our self-talk.
Yeah. No, I agree. I want to switch gears a bit now, and you went on a very exciting trip recently. You walked the Camino. I followed your adventures, and I would like you to just tell us a little bit about that experience, please.
Yeah, and the Camino come around about 5 years ago, so sort of halfway-ish through my alcohol-free adventure. I wrote down all my goals, like big, hairy, audacious goals,
Yeah.
the big ones.
Yeah.
That at the time I was still working in my brokerage. It was like I'm gonna quit and do something that I love, all these type of big goals. And Walk the Camino was one of them. So that's where it
Wow.
came from. I don't even know where I got the inspiration from it. It just appeared on this goal list. So it's been a while coming, but for my 50th, treated myself to walk the Camino. So the Camino is basically an old spiritual walk. The main route is across Spain. So you start in southwest France, pop over the Pyrenees, and then walk all the way west across Spain, 500 miles, which is a mega, mega walk across Spain. And it is joyous. This
Yeah.
ancient spiritual pilgrimage has been around for 1,000 years.
Mm,
85% of people do it just for the adventure, just to
yeah.
find something of themselves. So a small percentage still do it in terms of that religious
Yes.
sense, but it is joyous. So, and I was saying before we came on air, the biggest demographic that I would bump into were Australian women,
Yeah. Amazing.
just which really surprised me because it's a long way from home. So, so I even spoke to, I mean, you mentioned Lee as well, but
Yes.
I'd often ask, like, what brought you here? Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes it's a book.
Yeah.
Sometimes a book is like blown up somewhere, like, and everyone's read this book and it happens to be about the Camino. So then, but there wasn't anything that really stood out, which amazed me. But it's a genuinely a beautiful space. It reminds me of the alcohol-free space.
Right.
Everyone's so connected.
Yeah.
Everyone's willing to talk to each other. I went on my own, so I did it completely solo for 5 weeks, all the way across. Every day, bump into numerous people
Yeah.
willing to open up and share, go deep. That's the alcohol-free space for me because
Yeah.
all the fluff's gone. Don't need to talk about like the material job football kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's get deep
Yeah.
and meaningful. It was so, it reminded me of the alcohol-free space. And I love being in that place. Oh, and by the way, the alcohol-free alternatives on the trip were amazing.
Oh,
Spain is
isn't that
incredible.
good?
Being the most, yeah, rural, and I am talking rural. So zero English, like no one's there apart from the locals and then people on the Camino. They would have alcohol-free on draft. I
Wow.
mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, like which again was such a revelation for me. And actually, funny enough, it was the first time in probably about 10 years. There was a great guy on the Camino. Camino Charlie was his name. Dutch, big character.
Yeah.
And he saw me sitting there because we'd all congregate, all the pilgrims very often at the end in this town square. And I was drinking my beer, my alcohol-free beer, but it was in a draft glass. And he walked up and he plonked a beer in front of me and then went, "There you go, mate," and sort of moved on, but not knowing
Yeah.
clearly that mine was an alcohol-free beer and he'd just given me a full strength because he wouldn't have
No.
known.
Yeah.
No, so I had to, and that's the first time that had happened to me in years that someone had bought
Wow.
me a drink by mistake. So I had to politely
Yeah.
pick it up and thank him very much for it. And I'm sure he'd find a home for it
Mm,
somewhere else. And
mm.
then, of course, later in the trip, we get to know each other. He follows me on Instagram because he didn't know what I did or what it was about. And then
Right.
I bumped into him a few days later and he went, "I cannot believe it. Of all the people in the world I decide to buy a beer for, it's the guy that spent the last 10 years trying to get people to stop drinking." But there you go. But it was a
Oh,
wonderful experience. I couldn't recommend it enough.
yeah. So how long would you walk each day?
It ranged. I really got into it. I like to walk long.
Yeah.
I'd say most people average probably about 20
Okay.
kilometers.
Yeah.
But I liked the 30s, the 35s,
Yeah.
the 40s, which is almost marathon distance. So I ended up doing it a bit quicker than a lot of people just because I liked it. I
You
felt fit
like
and
doing it.
strong and
Yeah.
I liked just keeping going. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it depends on your time scale. But the average time scale is probably 5 to 6 weeks. Walking on average, probably about 20 kilometers per day. But
Yeah.
it's challenging. Sometimes it's literally over mountains, and
Wow.
other days it's a bit more flat. But
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. One absolute top tip recommendation:
Yep.
walking poles.
Yes. Okay. I was going to ask.
Game changer.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
have to have your walking pole. I was a bit like, walking poles, what do I need them for? Game changer.
Okay. And did you have any injuries or feet, anything?
No, no,
Great.
absolutely. So I was really lucky. I bought these lightweight Solomon walking boots effectively, and I didn't even really like wear them in. I basically did it all wrong, um, but they're amazing, literally amazing. I didn't get one blister, no
Wow.
nothing.
That's so
So it made it easy for me. No injuries, no blisters,
yeah.
totally fine. Felt really strong. Loved it. Where I saw a lot of people struggling
Yeah.
with blisters. You think you get one blister on a journey like that, it's a nightmare.
Yes.
So getting the right footwear is really, really, really important. And the poles, I think, take so much pressure off
Okay. That's
your
good.
feet and your legs that they made a huge difference as well.
Andy, can you just tell us quickly about a documentary you've been working on? I know this has been in the pipeline for quite some time. Can you tell us anything
Yeah.
about it? I know you did a poll or something, or I got an email about a name, naming it. So yeah, could you just tell the ladies a bit more about that and when it's released?
Yes, so that's going to come out in spring 2026. So it will be a documentary that celebrates all the joys of the alcohol-free movement. We
Yeah,
took six average drinkers,
yeah,
so middle lane drinkers, I like to call them,
yes,
and we filmed them whilst they were still drinking, and we tracked them through a 60 to 90 day break. I coached them through this. This is all in documentary. And
Yeah.
then we go on that wonderful journey with them. So I convinced the documentary crew, look, all we got to do is find some average drinkers, put them on a break, and just watch them go. Because I know what's going to happen. They're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
They can have more time, more energy, more ambition. Their blood work changed, their cholesterol improved, their blood markers were like off the charts, like physiologically
Mm.
unbelievable benefits. Um, I won't say too much more than that, just in
Yeah.
case I'm probably not meant to give the game away. But anyway, that's
Okay.
a huge part of it.
Yeah, look
And
forward to
then
it.
we spin out into all the science.
Yes.
Like, does alcohol cause cancer? And is red wine good for you? And like, you can imagine, like, basically just lifting the veil on all the nonsense and all
Mm.
the stories that we've been told about alcohol, which are fundamentally untrue, as well as showcasing the joys, the wins of the alcohol-free movement. It looks brilliant. And
Yeah.
on that note, I will be rally calling everyone that's listening, and yourself included, that what we really want to do is line up a massive group of people that are willing to share the link to the trailer of the documentary
Oh,
and then share the documentary when it comes out, because then that allows us to go to
yeah.
some of the big streamers
Mm.
and just say, look, we've got this huge rollout already for this
Yeah.
thing, because they're a bit scared of it.
Yeah.
And guess why they're a bit scared of it, right? Because much of their
Marketing.
funding and sponsorship is all
See?
tied up in the same big organizations
Yeah.
that do that very, very deliberately,
Yeah.
because then it makes it harder
Yes.
for people to get out information that actually might tell a different story. So we need people power
Yeah, you've got
behind this,
me.
right?
I can be your Australian correspondent.
Yes.
Oh,
Belinda, well, that's exactly what we need, right? Because then I can go back and go, well, we've got a rollout of 20 million people that this is going to get to. So this is unstoppable. This needs to go on your biggest platform.
absolutely.
Because if we don't do that, I think, you can see it. They'll be scared off by it.
Yeah. No, I think it's brilliant. I can't wait to be a part of it now. Um,
Yeah.
Want to finish up, Andy, very quickly. How do you see the alcohol-free movement evolving?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's changed so wonderfully, even in my time, that I think it's dangerously close to it already, although we've still got a long way to go in truth. But I think it will become a space where people just don't even flinch
Yeah.
if they're alcohol free or not. I mean, I'm seeing that before my very eyes already. I think we'll end up in a society that values being alcohol free as much as
Yeah.
alcohol. I think alcohol will always be around, and you know what? Let people make their grown up choices. But where there's still a massive hole, and hence why the documentary is important, hence why all the wonderful work you're doing is important, there's still a massive lack of awareness
Yes.
around what alcohol really is
Yeah.
doing to us. Again, around all those beliefs that we mentioned, but also physiologically. I know that through all the research. In Ireland, when we were there, they were talking about only 1 in 5 women even aware that there was any link between alcohol and cancer, for example. So what I'd like to see is that everyone's completely aware, like they are with smoking, and
Yes.
then let people
Exactly.
make their own grown-up choices around that. And that might be they drink a lot less, they might zebra stripe, they might take tactical breaks, they might never drink again. But I think the alcohol-free space is an unstoppable movement now, and I think it's only going one way. And it's having that wonderful legacy that is changing the map for our children as well. They've got choices that we never really had
Yeah.
growing up. They've been inspired by different people, and many of their peers and their heroes don't drink,
Don't
right?
drink.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the most exciting time ever for the alcohol-free
Mm.
space, probably this next 5, 10 years, as there's a huge cultural shift.
Mm. It's very exciting, and it's funny. I still have to pinch myself that I'm here talking to a gentleman from the UK and having these wonderful connections and relationships with people that get it, that are in the sober sphere with me. It's just so exciting. I love it.
Yeah, and thank you for all the wonderful work that you do as well. And that's what we need, all these different voices,
Yeah.
because then we appeal to different people, which helps raise that awareness. And I think collectively we've done a really good job of that.
Annie, it's been so lovely to speak to you today. And I just want to finish up with a fun question again. Could you name three people, dead or alive, that you would sit down to dinner with and why?
Yes, Tony Robbins, very
Yes.
much
Oh,
alive.
that
I,
win.
I
Yeah.
I'd definitely like to have that conversation. Seneca,
Yes.
and then William Blake,
Okay. I
who's
don't know who's William Blake. Sorry.
yeah, you,
Ignorant.
you probably won't know William Blake. He's a sort of 17th century poet, artist, mystic. we have a really famous sort of rugby song in the UK
Yeah.
about Jerusalem,
Okay.
and he penned those words in one of his poems. I'm just really drawn to his work and his
Okay.
artistry. I
Let's have
just
a
went to one
look.
of his exhibitions. So a bit random, William Blake,
Yeah.
Seneca, the great ancient Stoic philosopher, and then Tony
And
Robbins.
Tony, big Tony. Have you seen Tony live?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
same. Incredible.
brilliant. Yeah,
Just
that
incredible. Yeah.
energy. I couldn't recommend it enough.
He's honestly amazing. Anyway, I want to say a big thank you. I look forward to working with you in the future, and thank you for being on the podcast.
Belinda, you are an absolute star. Keep up the great work, and yeah, thank you for and everyone listening for being part of this adventure.
Thank you.